2022 Hyundai Elantra N. I am driving this just north of Atlanta, outside of Atlanta Motorsports Park, and I just took it around the track earlier today. The conditions were a little bit wet, but the sun's out now, the conditions are better. I also drove the Ioniq 5. The footage got botched on it, so hopefully the footage is going to be great on this one for you guys. I put it in the N standard mode here, which also allows for auto rev matching downshifts. Oh my gosh. This thing handles like it's on rails. You have all sorts of customization options on how you want this car to behave. And I drove through this earlier with the Ioniq 5, and oh my gosh, it is so much more fun. It let me downshift, no problem. It gave me all sorts of beeping that I was pushing at the rev limit there, but it's amazing that this car lets you engage with it in that way. I really want to drive this car for a week to compare to like the Civic Si to the GLI that I just drove fairly recently. But this vehicle is on a completely different class of performance compared to those vehicles. It not only has more horsepower with 276 and more pound-feet of torque than those vehicles at 289, it's tuned completely different. And you have adaptable dampers on here. I don't see anyone coming. The manual is so good in here. I took it on the track with this manual and had never driven it before, and it felt just perfect. I had no issues with it. Auto rev matching downshifts. There was a dog chasing cars on the highway. But you guys can listen to that backfire. This is a stock factory car, and there's nothing else like it on the market for this price point. Like $32K for this vehicle, and I get heated seats. No, I don't have a sunroof, but you know what? I'm not looking up to enjoy the sun in this vehicle. I'm keeping my eyes planted on the road. The steering is actually fairly light for a vehicle of this sort of performance, but there's like no body roll. It just inspires so much confidence, makes me feel like a better driver than I am. Like it is just maybe the most fun I've had in a car on the streets. Maybe ever. This vehicle has completely surprised me. There's also the Kona N, which is very similar to this car, but only comes in the 8-speed DCT, which is a fantastic transmission. I drove that transmission in the Elantra N on the track, and I had more confidence. I was a little bit faster in it, but there's nothing like a manual transmission that lets you auto rev match downshift like that. It's just so satisfying. It makes the experience more fun, more engaging for me, because I don't have to worry about rev matching the downshifts, which I'm not the best at heel toe downshifting by any means. So I love the fact that automakers like Hyundai, Honda, Toyota are baking that into their manual transmissions to make them more accessible, more fast as a result as well for the average person, and just more enjoyable. Right before this, like I said, I drove the Ioniq 5 through here. That vehicle has more power, more torque, but this vehicle just feels like it's glued to the ground. I can sling it in any turn, and it has way more capability than what I'm actually physically able to handle. And there's a Honda Accord that just pulled out in front of me. And earlier I drove by the cows in a completely silent electric car, and now I'm buzzing through these winding foothills with a loud, rambunctious 4-cylinder, and I'm having way more fun in this car than the faster in a straight line Ioniq 5. But this vehicle, I'm gonna have to like I'm gonna have to stop here because I really want to push this car pretty hard. I'm not gonna get on the brakes hard because that's a recipe for me bringing back my motion sickness, which I'm starting to get over from the track. But it looks like there is some space between us now. And this isn't the easiest car to kind of launch. Even just like a stop and go, I've actually killed this vehicle a couple times, so it's not the most forgiving, but it's also the most performance manual transmission vehicle I've been in a long time. But I'm gonna go ahead and rev it to about 3,000 RPM and, oh, that was pretty jarring. Gonna keep it in second here, which is pretty much at red line. This is more fun to me than being on the track, just pushing this car through these winding mountain roads. And I just have, like I said, this car gives me so much confidence, has so much power, but not so much that I feel scared. I feel like it's there's a lot of power in here, but it doesn't feel like it outmatches the vehicle. It's very well balanced. The Honda Civic Si, for example, the handling in that vehicle feels like it's the best trait of it, and the transmission's really good. The braking is a little subpar, the engine is subpar. This Elantra N takes everything to that next level and balances it out. Like, and there's this turbo boost button. Oh my gosh. I need to turn this around and get this back to Atlanta Motorsports Park because I'm going to get myself into trouble. I've never been this hooligan out on the streets before, and this vehicle, like I said, just gives you so much confidence. Maybe not in a good way. If you want to keep your license and not get speeding tickets, this vehicle is just so good for what it is. And for the price, $32K? Putting this car on the track was one thing where, you know, I was really limited by the conditions with the wet track, but when this vehicle is just glued to the road with these Michelin tires. I'll put exactly what the tires are. I'm not a tire expert, but these things glue this car to the ground. You have a completely redone suspension compared to the normal Elantra. All the shocks are different, the springs are different, you have adaptive dampers, you have different stabilizer bars in here. It's a track car for the streets. But the great thing about it is there's all these customization options through the screen, and you can custom tune and custom equip how you want the car to behave on your normal status. So if I press these in buttons, it's going to give me different custom modes to play with. And there's normal, there's sport, there's eco. But if I press the left button, now I'm in standard and then in custom, which you can even further tune. So yes, this is like a track car, but since we have modern technology with all these computer systems in the car and adaptive dampers, this car can relax the exhaust note, it can relax the throttle characteristics, it can relax the dampers and suspension to make this an easy, everyday, livable track car. And I don't know how many vehicles are out there that can do that, let alone for this price point. So Hyundai, this car has surprised me. I am very impressed with the performance, the well-roundedness of this vehicle, the price point of this vehicle. The manual transmission is fantastic. The DCT is faster, no doubt, but it's not as enjoyable, and I wouldn't be having this continuous smile on my face with the DCT as I am with this manual transmission. The launching of this vehicle, there's not a lot of feedback with the clutch, so it is a little bit harder to launch on an everyday basis, but like I said, this is my first time driving this car today, and it's maybe one of the most enjoyable cars I've ever driven on the public streets. And when you want to downshift, it's just easy as pie. And right now I'm actually in, what am I in? I'm in standard mode. I'm just going to put it in normal mode. The exhaust completely relaxes. There's sport. When I put it into sport, you can immediately hear the exhaust note take off again. And just I haven't even put it in 6th gear yet. Now I'm cruising in 6th gear, so this is a realistic commuting sort of situation here in eco mode. Got a little bit of wind noise, but surprisingly, there's not that much road noise coming through. It's well damped, and there's not a lot of harshness in the suspension in this relaxed eco mode. So it's actually a pretty comfortable tourer, and these seats are keeping me right in place. I'll put it in 3rd gear up this hill. Now there's not auto rev matching downshifts in eco mode, but remember, you can customize nearly everything in this car. So you could put the auto rev matching in eco mode or your customized mode, so you can have that whenever you want it in any mode, in any driving situation. And that's what I would be doing if I had this car. I'd always keep that auto rev matching on. It's just more fun. It's an easier experience and a more enjoyable experience as a result too. The amount of metrics this car gives you is absolutely insane. It's a little overwhelming, and I'm not going to thumb through it. Like I said, I just have this car for about 15-20 minutes, and then I got to give it back to the next person who wants to drive it. So hopefully, Hyundai, if you're listening, please get me this car for press review so I can share this amazing, unique car out there with not only my community but the world. And hopefully you guys are enjoying, able to see my enjoyment with this car out here in the winding roads of Georgia. But I'm going to cut myself off. If you enjoyed today's video, smash the like button, subscribe for more Hyundai, Kia, as well as Genesis news, all the Koreans as well as all the Japanese cars. That is a specialty of the channel, and I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching. Hyundai, thank you again for bringing me out to Atlanta Motorsports Park. Unforgettable experience with these incredible attainable cars for the mass market. I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching, and peace out.